True. Nervous. Very, very dreadfully nervous I had been. And am. Well, why then will you say that I am mad? The disease had sharpened my senses, not destroyed, not even dulled them. Above all was the sense of hearing acute. I heard all things in the heaven and the earth. I heard many things in hell. But how then am I mad? Just listen and observe how healthily, how calmly I can tell you the whole story. It's impossible to say how first the idea entered my brain, but once conceived, it haunted me day and night. Object there was none. Passion there was none. I loved the old man. He had never wronged me. He had never given me insult. For his gold I had no desire. It was his eye. It was this. He had the eye of a vulture. A pale blue eye with a film over it. And when it fell upon me, my blood ran cold. And so, by degrees, gradually, I made up my mind to take the life of the old man and rid myself of the eye forever. Now here is the point. You fancy me mad. Mad men know nothing. But you should have seen me. You should have seen how wisely I proceeded. With what caution, with what foresight, with what dissimulation I went to work. I was never kinder to the old man than during the whole week before I killed him. And every night, about midnight, I turned the latch of his door and opened it. Oh, so gently. And when there was an opening sufficient for my head, I put in a dark lantern, all closed up, so that no light shone out. And then I thrust in my head. Oh, you would have laughed to see how cunningly I thrust it in. Oh, so slowly, so as not to disturb the old man's sleep. It took me an hour to put my whole head through the opening so that I could see him as he lay upon his bed. Ha! Would a madman have been so wise as this? And then, when my head was well within the room, I undid the lantern cautiously. Oh, so cautiously, because the hinges creaked. I undid it just so much so that a single thin ray fell upon the vulture eye. And this I did for 7 long nights, just at midnight. But I found the eye always closed. And so it was impossible to do the work. For it wasn't the old man who vexed me, but his evil eye. And every morning, at daybreak, I went courageously into the chamber, calling to him by name in a hearty tone, and inquiring how he had passed the night. So you see, he would have been a very profound old man indeed, to suspect that every night at 12, I looked in upon him while he slept. Upon the 8th night, I was more than usually cautious in opening the door. A watch's minute hand moves more quickly than did mine. Never before that night had I felt the extent of my own powers, of my sagacity. I could scarcely contain my feelings of triumph. To think that there I was, opening that door little by little, and for him not even to dream of my secret deeds or thoughts. I fairly chuckled at the idea, and perhaps he heard me because he suddenly moved on the bed as if startled. Now you may think that I drew back, but no. The room was black as pitch with thick darkness. For the shutters were close fastened for fear of robbers. And so I knew that he could not see the opening of the door, and I kept pushing on steadily. I had my head in and was about to open the lantern when my thumb slipped upon the tin fastening, and the old man sprang up in the bed crying out, "Who's there?" I kept quite still and said nothing. For a whole hour, I did not move a muscle. And in the meantime, I did not hear him lie down. He was still sitting up in the bed, listening, just as I have done night after night, hearkening to the death watches in the wall. Then I heard a slight groan that I knew to be the groan of mortal terror. Not the groan of pain or of grief. Oh no. The low, stifled sound that arises from the bottom of the soul when overcharged with awe. I knew the sound well. Many a night, just at midnight, when all the world slept, it has welled up from my own bosom, deepening with its dreadful echo the terrors that distracted me. I knew what the old man felt and pitied him, though I also chuckled at heart. I knew that he had been lying awake ever since the first slight noise. When he turned in his bed, his fears had been ever since growing upon him. He had been trying to fancy them causeless, but could not. He had been saying to himself, "Oh, it's nothing but the wind in the chimney. It's only a mouse crossing the floor. It's merely a cricket that has made a single chirp." Yes, he had been trying to comfort himself with these suppositions, but had found all in vain. All in vain. Because death, in approaching him, had stalked with his black shadow before him and enveloped the victim. And it was the mournful influence of the unperceived shadow that caused him to feel, although he had never seen nor heard, to feel the presence of my head in the room. When I had waited a long time, but without hearing him lie down, I resolved to open a very little crevice in the lantern, and so I opened it stealthily, until at length a simple dim ray, like the thread of a spider, shot from out the crevice full upon the vulture eye. It was open, wide open, and I grew furious as I gazed upon it.